Hi, I'm Erica. The reason I started making sauerkraut was because I had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I couldn't take any of the medication either because it wasn't the right kind or because I was allergic to it. So I had to find my own way of dealing with that, and that's why I've decided to make a series of videos on how to improve your health, especially digestive health. I did a lot of research in order to get myself healthy again, and I just basically like to share the information with others because actually when I first started, I got my first bit of information from something that I found on YouTube. So in case anybody else is looking for that kind of information, I'd just like to put it out there. So if you have any kind of digestive problem, of course it has to do with your digestive system, but even things like arthritis, Parkinson's disease, anxiety and depression, pretty much any kind of disease has its root or is at least impacted by your digestion. Your immune system is actually like 90% in your digestive system because that's where foreign outside things make contact with the inside of your body. If you want to improve your digestion, if you want to improve your immune system, and if you want to improve your mental health, it's really important to get good quality probiotics in your diet and of course to eat healthy foods. It also helps you recover from taking antibiotics, which kills off beneficial bacteria in your intestines and creates spaces where harmful bacteria or overgrowth of normal bacteria can get to a point where it takes on a state of disease. So by balancing out the different strains of microorganisms that are living inside your intestines, you can prevent and also help to treat a lot of diseases and just overall increase your health. Most of the serotonin in your body is actually in your intestines. It does affect your overall mood. There's a very strong relationship between your intestinal health and your mental health. One study said that when people took high doses of probiotics, it decreased the number of ruminating thoughts that they had. So a ruminating thought is any cyclical thought. It's named after when a cow chews its food again and again and again. So you're chewing the same thought again and again and again, and that is common in people who are experiencing anxiety and depression and things like OCD as well in a more extreme state. And probiotics have been shown to help with all of those. So anyways, probiotics can be very helpful for improving your mental health and overall well-being. So it's not just your digestion that's affected, it's your overall state of health because you need the nutrients that you're absorbing, and if your digestion isn't working properly, then you're going to be missing nutrients that you need and you're going to be potentially absorbing things that are actually harmful for your body, and then you're going to have to use energy getting them back out again, which is not something that you want to have to go through. So you might as well just take probiotics. So the difference between making your own probiotics and buying them from the store is that if you buy probiotic capsules, there's no way of knowing whether or not there's actually living microorganisms inside the capsule. Most companies only guarantee there to be living microorganisms at the time when they are put in the capsule. And on top of that, they don't always test to see whether or not that's actually a beneficial strain. There are many, many, many strains of bacteria, and only some of them are actually helpful to your body. So if you're getting a really cheap probiotic, it's possible that it's not going to help you at all. However, if you get a trusted brand such as Natron, which does guarantee that there's living microorganisms until the date of expiration, and you keep it in the fridge, which is really important too, then there's really helpful, like really good chance that that's going to improve your digestion and the quality of the bacteria in your digestive system. However, that can be very expensive. So if you don't have the budget, like I didn't when I started using probiotics, then it's really a good idea to make them yourself. And you can make them yourself out of just cabbage and salt, and then you're going to need some kind of starter culture. And if you make your own, you can guarantee that there's going to be living microorganisms in there when you eat it, and you don't have to worry about researching the different brands and all that stuff. You can just make your own. So I bought this cabbage from a farmer's market because the quality of the soil that the cabbage is grown in is going to affect the outcome of the sauerkraut that you're making. In the soil, there are tons of different microorganisms. And when people used to just eat food that they picked out of the ground or harvested themselves or foraged or however that population got their food, they actually had a lot of the same microorganisms in the soil in their digestive system. So people have a very symbiotic relationship with the soil. And in our society, that connection has been really cut off because a lot of the food is pasteurized. A lot of it travels a long way before you eat it, or it's processed, which kills all of the beneficial microorganisms before you eat the food. And a lot of the time, that's done in order to prevent things like E. coli from being in the food so that people don't get sick. But at the same time, it's preventing them from actually being healthy as well by not providing people with a source of microorganisms that repopulate their intestinal tract as they eat the food with healthy microorganisms. So if you want to get the maximum benefit from your sauerkraut, it's great to look at the kind of soil that the cabbage is going to be grown on, because it's going to provide those microorganisms to the culture that's being created when the cabbage is fermenting. The next best would be to buy an organic cabbage from the grocery store that's still going to be grown in good quality soil, and that's a great option. You can also use a conventionally grown cabbage. That's fine. Just keep in mind that there's going to be very likely pesticide residues on that cabbage, and that can be a problem for a number of reasons. So one is just simply that if you're in a state of ill health, your body is already working really hard to keep you healthy, or trying to keep you healthy. And if you continue to put those toxins in your body, it's going to slow down the healing process, or it could, because your body's going to have to work to get rid of them. Also, if your digestion isn't working properly, especially if you have Crohn's or colitis or anything that involves ulcerations in your digestive tract, there's a chance that that's just going to go right through the intestinal walls without them even being broken down, and then they're going to go into your bloodstream. So if you have compromised digestion, it's even more important to make sure that your food is as clean as possible from chemicals, which is not always possible, but since you're making this sauerkraut to make yourself feel better, you might as well get the best quality ingredients that are available to you. However, it's still very beneficial to eat sauerkraut that's made from conventionally grown produce. Same thing with the salt. You're going to need salt. Salt is going to make sure that the cabbage ferments in a healthy way by preventing the harmful bacteria from being able to grow in there. It helps preserve the cabbage, essentially. I'm going to use pink Himalayan salt. That's from ancient seabeds that are left in the Himalayas basically as rock. It's called rock salt. So it's going to have all the dissolved minerals that are present in sea salt that are really helpful for your body. You could also use sea salt, which same thing in regards to the mineral content. However, the present day oceans are significantly more polluted in the sense that there's man-made chemicals that are dissolving into the ocean. So there are tiny pieces of plastic breaking down, or tiny pieces of textiles that are made out of chemicals, not natural products like cotton. It's made out of things like, I don't even know how to pronounce them, but it's basically oil byproducts being turned into textiles, breaking down, and creates these tiny particles in the water, which when they evaporate the water and get left with the salt, there's still these tiny particles. That's why I would recommend getting the Himalayan pink sea salt, because it's from an ocean that's really old, not the ocean that we have today, which is unfortunately quite polluted and can have these tiny particulates in it. So there's nothing wrong with using sea salt. It's just, again, make an educated choice. Like, choose the best thing that's available to you. You can also use table salt, although it's not an ideal choice because there's no minerals in it. It's a refined product. It's like eating the refined wheat. It's, you know, it's one of those things that has all of the beneficial minerals kept out of it. So by the time you're eating it, it doesn't really have health benefits. You do need salt, but it's really a lot better for you to eat a natural form of salt. And then you're gonna need some kind of starter culture, a little bit of brine or something that's gonna start the fermentation process. So you could use some of the liquid from unpasteurized sauerkraut that you bought, or you could use the whey from kefir, and I'll make another video about that. Or you could use, like if you've made a previous batch of sauerkraut, you can use some of the liquid from that batch of sauerkraut, but I'm assuming that if you're watching this video, you haven't made the sauerkraut before, so you can just, the best option is probably to buy some unpasteurized sauerkraut the first time and use the liquid from that to get the fermentation process started. So that's it for information and ingredients, and then I'll move on to showing you how to make the sauerkraut.